It is not our diversity which divides us. It's not our ethnicity, religion, or culture that divide us. Since we have achieved our freedom, there can only be one division amongst us, between those who cherish for democracy and those who do not. Nelson Mandela. Hello, good morning. My name is Yvette, and today I'm here to talk about inclusion and diversity. It's funny how powerful these concepts have become within education. Sometimes, from my point of view, I think that these concepts are overlooked by the families and overused by educators. I'm going to tell you a little bit of my personal story to know what brought me here today. When I was little, I used to stand up in front of my dolls and teach them maths, Catalan, Spanish, and maths, whatever subject I felt like doing that day. Without noticing, I started growing up with the same idea of becoming a primary school teacher. That desire of giving others the best of me and teaching others, it was what brought me 2 years ago to Blanquerna. I started my college studies about primary school education to discover the key of education and how we can empower inclusion and diversity to help kids, and especially those with the special needs and difficult conditions at home. One of the most clear situations that educations have faced nowadays is diversity. It's obvious that there are kids that they're not alike. Every kid has a number of characteristics that make them unique and special. Physical, socioeconomical, cultural, psychological, that make them unique. Facing all this diversity, educators have to empower initiatives and discover new activities to do with the kids to make them understand how important is diversity and acceptance. The school model that we have today is considered to be a comprehensive model, which means assuming child's diversity, describing initiatives, and preparing activities and strategies against differences, and decrease the inequalities and the lack of opportunities for everyone. For me, inclusion is acceptance and building connections with each other. Currently, there's a big problem with the use of ICTs. I think ICTs are beneficial for education, but with a controlled amount of time. If not, they can be damaged for the kids, and they can provoke a problem in building connection with the kids. This leads me to another story, which I think we might see this whole point of this TED Talk. Last summer, I got myself into a new adventure. I applied to be a counselor in a summer camp in Seattle for 2 months. I was expecting having to deal with homesickness, but when I arrived during the staff training, I saw that wasn't the only problem that I was going to be dealing with my kids. Everyone seemed to be really worried about one specific training, which was called the scenarios. This practice was based on problem solving. The unit directors would tell us some different situations that the kids could go through during their stay in the summer camp. And we had to find a solution and try to talk with the kid to find a solution together. This made me realize I was not going to be dealing only with homesickness, but also inclusion, racism, sexually abused kids, bullied kids, etc. I impressed myself to apply what I have learned in college and diversity. And I said to myself, what are you doing? Do you think these kids have come here to hear you talking about what you have been given, all the theory you have been given about diversity in college? No. I decided to talk with my unit director and ask her for advice. She said, look around at your environment, because sometimes if you admire what is surrounding you, you can use that. Sometimes it's more powerful, the outdoor activities, than meaningless words. I looked around and I saw mountains, the sea, and a beautiful sunset. And I thought about how I could use the environment and nature to benefit the way I was going to educate my kids during those 2 months. During those 2 months, I met kids from everywhere and from completely different surroundings. I got shy, open, racist, self-conscious, and all kinds of kids. I loved each and one of them for the way of being themselves and letting me learn from them as a future teacher. It wasn't always easy to make the kids become a family by the end of the session, especially when diversity played a difficult role between them. That's why being able to be in open-air summer camp and without any types of ICTs or new technologies helped us on focusing on team-building activities and being inclusive and working on acceptance. I learned that being able to work with diversity and inclusion using outdoor education is no more than a totally benefit for the kids. It helps them becoming a community. They shared 24 hours together, they shared cabins, they shared activity, initiatives, and they were able to go on a one-night expedition to the Enchanted Forest. Being on an open-air summer camp also makes them raise the expectations and standards that they're supposed to have. During this week that they spent at camp, they were supposed to be responsible for their bunk space, and they also have to be respectful with themselves, with each other, and with the environment. And that made them change so much that the parents were surprised by the end of summer camp. It also increases connection. They're connected to the process of being a community, and they're feeling this increased connection for being part of it. It builds culture. There's kids from all over the world. There's kids from a lot of different family and environment surroundings. And that makes them being more comprehensive and working on empathy with each other. And it not only makes them feel more comfortable with who they are and where they come from, but also learn from the other's environment. It develops positive feelings and memories. When they leave camp, they're willing to come back next year, not only because of the fun activities they've done, but the connection they build up with each other, and improving and growing up and trying to find who they are. So, what I came to tell you today that I have learned so far as education to have many resources as we want and much more that we can discover and use in our education. So let's not see inclusion and diversity as an education problem, but use them to make a fair and equal education for our future students as a teachers. Thank you.